Hi, and welcome to Module 5 of Linking Literacy and Assessment. In Module 5, we are discussing developing readers and writers. This is a really exciting stage of reading and writing development because all the previous stages, we're really talking about learning to read. And once they hit this developing stage, they're really reading to learn. So they're using the books that they're reading to actually learn more information about other subjects. So that this is when they're reading their science texts and their social studies texts, and it doesn't have to always be nonfiction, but anything that they're reading, they're actually learning more from it. This means that our instruction for these students really changes. We're not really focused so much on the building blocks of reading, like the phonics and phonological awareness, phonemic awareness. We're moving more to like vocabulary and comprehension. Um, and you'll be reading about that in your Gillett text this week on your chapter on developing readers and writers. We also have some media links for you to review as well, so be sure to do that. Um, when this week you are going to be turning in several different things. Hopefully you've been working on them all along, so they won't be so overwhelming. But let's remind you of those. So you do have the biggest one is your assessment-based instruction paper. And for your assessment-based instruction, you are taking all of the assessments that you just gave the child that you're tutoring, and you're going to scan those in. So I have those, and you're going to write about them. You're going to go test by test. And when you're talking about how the child did, you'll need to give numerical data. So we're not just going to say, the child did great. That doesn't actually give me a ton of information. I need to know, did they get 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10? What is great? Um, so you will write about the test, and then also when you scan in those documents, you'll put those right into the document that you're working on. So they're right there. I won't have to open up 7 different files or anything like that. I'll send some information about how to do that in case you don't know how to import a PDF into Microsoft Word or whatever format you're using. Um, so we're including the numerical data. We're writing about how they did. And then we're going to write about this assessment based on these results. We know that the child needs this type of instruction. Now, you don't need to reinvent the wheel for this. What I would do if I was writing this paper is once I decide what type of reader the child is, I'd go back and read that chapter in the Gillett text. So that's going to give you some information right there on what type of instruction the child is going to need. Also, page 407 in your DLI talks about, okay, now I'm done with the assessments, what type of instruction does the child need now? So those are the first 2 places you're going to go. You don't need to pull out these ideas out of the air, out of your head. They're right there for you. But you just need to base them on the assessments because remember, assessment drives instruction. Now also, um, you need to be thinking about those independent, instructional, and frustrational reading levels and report those as well. So for your child, you might say that the primer level is independent, the first grade level is instructional, but the second grade level is frustrational. That's just an example. But um, once you have that data of those assessments, you will be able to report those if the child is at least a beginning or fledgling reader. If the child is an emergent reader, you won't be able to report that kind of information. Speaking of the assessment-based instruction assignment, you might also be thinking about lessons plans for the child you're tutoring. Now, you do need a lesson plan for every single time that you meet with this student. You don't want to be just coming up with things on the fly because, of course, assessment drives instruction, and you need to have that instruction plan before you get there and be well prepared as the teacher. So if you want to see a good example of what I'm expecting for a lesson plan, please look at page 129 of your Gillett text. There's an example of a lesson plan right there. It's not a very formal lesson plan, a 3-page lesson plan. It's a 3-column lesson plan, and it's what we plan to do, how the child did, and then my thoughts and feelings about that. So that's for your anecdotal notes and observations. So you may say, we're going to do this phonics activity. And then how the child did is, well, they did really well on it. They actually did so well that I think it was too easy. So then in your anecdotal notes, you're going to say, next week I'm going to do something a little bit harder. We're going to work on a little bit harder concept. So that's what I'm talking about for those lesson plans. Also this week you have a discussion forum to do. You're talking about developing readers and what kinds of assessments you'll give a developing reader, and then how you will help a developing reader improve in one of the 5 areas of reading instruction, and those are listed out there. Just choose one to talk about how you'll help a developing reader specifically improve in one of those areas. With this week, you're also including an updated assessment chart. So hopefully you've been updating that all along. You just attach that into your discussion forum. The reason we're doing it in the discussion forum this week is so that you actually have the opportunity to look at your classmates' different charts and see, oh, this one has one that I missed. I'm going to add that to mine, and that's perfectly okay. We are doing some sharing this week. So take a look at your classmates and see if they have some things that you might have missed and you would like to add, or you could even suggest to a classmate, hey, I have this one and I didn't see it on yours. You might want to add it so this helps you in the long run. Your extra point activity for this week is I have created a Pinterest board for our class, and there are different sections on there for the different types of readers that you may have. So if you have an emergent reader, you would go on there and post a lesson plan or activity for an emergent reader. If you found a great activity for a developing reader, you can go ahead and post it in the developing reader Pinterest board. And this is actually going to really help all of you with your assessment-based instruction plan. So again, that's 3 things that are due this week. You have your assessment-based instruction plan, you have your discussion forum, which does include your assessment chart, and you also have the extra point activity, which is to pin in Pinterest on our board, and I'll include all the information about that in the announcement this week. As always, if you have any questions, the questions for the professor forum is a great place to post those so that we can all benefit from that question. If it's a question that is specific to you and your needs, go ahead and email that to me. And of course, you're always welcome to make an appointment with me for a phone or Skype conversation. I'm always happy to help you. So be sure to do that if you feel that that is the best way to meet your needs. Thank you. Have a great week. I look forward to discussing these developing readers with you in our discussion forum and seeing what you have to say in your assessment-based instruction plan.